Welcome everyone to Old Roommates. Today on the show, we revisit 1989's Do the Right Thing. So go on, order that slice of pizza, get extra cheese, pay those $2 extra. Our revisit is about to begin.
Welcome everyone to Old Roommates, the only podcast that revisits pop culture through a middle-aged lens. This is Christina.
And this is Brian.
And we are revisiting Do the Right Thing from 1989, a Spike Lee joint, if you will.
Yep.
And we are going to begin this episode as we always do. Brian, what is your history with Do the Right Thing?
Thank you for asking.
You're welcome.
I saw this movie on VHS, and I really loved it. I thought it was so fresh and colorful. I loved the beginning, with Rosie Perez, although I didn't know, who Rosie Perez was.
Right.
But I mean, it just felt fresh, and everything felt a little different. So many of the shots, I think I liked it more for its look than say maybe the story. I remember just thinking it was so colorful and fresh, and the ending was very jolting. But yeah, and I thought I remember really, really, really liking it a lot. Mm-hmm. How about you?
Thank you for finally asking. So I saw this in the movie theater.
Did you really?
I sure did.
Wow.
Yep. I was with my ex-boyfriend. Well, my boyfriend at the time, my ex-boyfriend now. And yeah, I was excited to see it, and I didn't know what it was about or anything. And I remember also liking the look of it, also feeling like it was kind of like this bright and colorful kind of movie. And I enjoyed it, but I was just very jolted at the end. I just did not see it coming because I felt like the tone of the movie was so different. And, we've talked about this many times where the tone, when it changes, I just get pissed. I don't like it. It's like a trick. So I did not like that at the end. I was so surprised. I mean, I feel like I saw it pretty early on too.
Okay.
I didn't know anything that happened in it.
Yeah.
And I mean, we barely knew who Spike Lee was at that point, right? As heavy as the topics were with the prejudice, racism, things like that, it still felt light and kind of airy.
Yes, it does.
Right?
Until the end.
And so I was like, oh my God, what just happened? So I did like it. I did kind of walk away from the theater thinking, I don't know anything about anything. But I did enjoy most of it.
Yeah. And when did you rewatch it?
I rewatched
Diving
it
into now.
last week. Sometime last week. Yeah.
Any immediate feelings?
Well, I was a little bit nervous to watch it because, of course, the end, the last part of the movie, it's just so real these days. And I was kind of nervous to watch it. And I was like, oh, I don't know. It just brings up a lot of scary feelings. Yeah. Right? So I was a little bit nervous to watch it. But I had forgotten about a lot of the lightness and the happy parts of it. And so, and even when you look it up, they do list it as a comedy.
They sure do.
Which I think is interesting.
Yeah.
And I would agree to it for the first 75% of the movie. Mm-hmm. Right? Anyway, my first thoughts was the Rosie Perez dancing. I forgot about that. It was super fun and just, again, light. So I was feeling a little bit more relaxed as I started rewatching it. Yeah. What about you? When did you rewatch it?
I rewatched it, I think a few days ago, maybe 5 days ago. And it was funny because putting it in, I was more concerned about this episode than about rewatching it, because it's oh God, is this going to be The Shining all over again? Where we're really going to piss off a lot of diehard Spike Lee fans, versus pissing off a bunch of, oh my God, in heaven. Jack Nicholson fans and, the director of The Shining, Stanley Kubrick. Thank you. So, yeah, but, because I feel it's oh, this has to go well. I have to love this movie because, or bad things will happen.
Yeah, but, and it's a risk we take. And please don't, I don't want people to take it personally. This is a revisit of
it's Mask. These are Mask, for example.
And these are simply our opinions.
Personal stories, heavy, dramatic personal stories. I was as nervous about revisiting Mask and talking about Mask as I was watching Do the Right Thing. Yeah. These are very heavy personal stories, and you know, and I think to a point you said about like, you know, it's like, oh, things that are happening now. And it's like, but things are happening. It was happening then too,
right? I mean, it would never change,
right?
Exactly,
right. Which is really, really disgusting.
Similar to the conversation we were having about the abortion rights stuff
in the real
last
world,
week on the episode of The Real World, and we're like, we're still fighting that stuff. Like, you know, it's like unbelievable how things just do not change. I
did, yes, I liked Rosie Perez's dancing. Again, it's like, so it's the hottest day of the year in Brooklyn. We're being told this from newspapers. And I didn't know that was his sister in the beginning.
Me neither. It was so crazy. He lays on top of her. And it's very intimate. Do they
really
sleep in the same bed?
Weird.
Like, it was a weird first scene.
I thought they were lovers.
I thought they were girlfriend, boyfriend, or something.
And then, and at one point, she's like, ooh, she's like, Mookie, your breath stinks. Did you know what he said back? She's like, it's your upper lip. That's a good one. Yeah, I mean, listen, Rosie Perez's first movie, Martin Lawrence's film debut, you know, Samuel L. Jackson's in this, Ruby Dee's in this, Bill Nunn from Sister Act, so many people. Okay, so fuck Mike Tyson, I drop him like a bad habit. One of my favorite characters in Do the Right Thing is, and I want to get his name right, Sweet Dick Willie.
Oh, yeah. He is so funny in this.
Robin Harris, I believe he has passed away. Robin Harris played Sweet Dick Willie. I mean, one of the best. I think my favorite character in this movie is Sweet Dick Willie.
I loved him too. I loved just the three men in general.
Yeah,
like just the conversations they're having. And I love the backdrop, the red with the umbrella. And I love that whole scene and the commentary of the whole neighborhood.
Exactly.
Like, I just love it.
Yeah, because what's so funny too is they're talking about the Asian family that opens the shop.
Yes.
And they're like, oh, you know, they're just coming in here and opening up a small business and da da da. But one of them calls out like, oh, you know, we could have done that too, but we didn't.
Right.
Like,
oh yeah. They're like, we weren't gonna do anything.
We weren't gonna do anything. Oh God. So Sal's Pizza, classic pizzeria or whatever.
Yeah.
Danny Aiello, who would be Oscar nominated for this performance, Best Supporting Actor. But then here begins my critiques.
Okay.
Holy Mary, Mother of God. There's so much yelling in this movie. I kept having to adjust the volume. I mean, listen, I know I'm middle-aged, but damn, my finger on the volume, I was like, turn this down. Everyone's fighting. Sal, the antique car guy, the people yelling at the shop owners, the Asian shop owners. Tina and oh my God, Tina, while she's holding her baby. God. Like, fuck you, ma, ba, ba, ba. I'm like,
and she's saying it, throat.
Oh my God. Throwing her baby around like a paper doll. She is
yelling out the window, yelling at each other. Yes.
The group of guys with the music, something happened to the boombox, and they all start yelling at each other, and it's like, oh my God, everyone's yelling.
Much yelling.
I think from when that first yell in Sal's Pizza Shop happens, it never stops. I feel like there's way too many yelling scenes. And Pino and Vito are the sons of Sal. They're the pizza brothers.
And they're fighting each other all the time. They're always yelling at each other.
Yes. Always. And John Turturro, I think, only yells in this movie.
That's all he does, yeah.
What's his name? His name is Bugging Out. How did Bugging Out get the front of his sneaker dirty if the guy bumped him from behind? Did you catch that?
Yeah, that was
He bumped him in the wrong direction. He's like, oh man, look at my sneaker. It's like, no, that wouldn't have happened. It was kind of a weird thing.
He was just looking for trouble anyway, that one.
What do I have? $108 with tax. LOL. What is that about?
$108?
Oh, sneakers probably.
Oh, it's
with tax. You're lucky I'm a black man with a loving heart. I'm just rambling, Christina. One of my favorite moments, of course, involves, this Brooklyn thing of gentrification. This guy, white guy, with his bike. He's like
Yes.
going back to his brownstone, and this is in Bed-Stuy of Brooklyn, and the guys are all pissed off. He's like looking at this white guy, and they're like, "Go back to Massachusetts," which is funny on its
That's
own.
hilarious.
And
yes.
then guy's like, "I was born in Brooklyn," and they all go, "No!" That was just a beautiful thing. And that's when, to me, that's when it felt like a comedy. That's when it felt like the yelling was for comedic, comedic push there.
Definitely. To me, it seemed I did enjoy it. And I enjoyed the performances and things. But to look at it visually, and this is one of the things I liked about it back then, but it bothered me now.
Oh, okay.
Everything was so clean. And you lived in New York for a while, so you may have noticed this as well. Everything, it looked very stage set to me. There's not a lick of dirt anywhere. There's no trash. Everything is very well swept. The streets are clean. The buildings are clean. I'm like, what is going on here? It seemed like a stage set to me. And not only that, it's supposed to be the hottest day of the year.
Yeah.
Nobody seems like they're sweating. Nobody has any sweat or glistening on their faces that I could see, for the most part. Yeah. Maybe there was one or two out there, but for the most part, people are saying, it's so hot. And I'm like, if it's so hot, why are you sweating?
I respectfully disagree with the second part. I found that people looked really hot and sweaty and shimmering. Mm-hmm. I agree with the first part with the clean. And what's funny is, so a little bit of research, they said that production, that the reason why they welcome, so this is filmed on location in Bed-Stuy, in one block of Bed-Stuy, and that the reason why they think the people of Bed-Stuy were welcoming this production is because they were incredibly clean. And they cleaned the neighborhood. It's like, but to your point, I didn't really catch that, Christina, but to your point, why did they bother cleaning it? It's New York. New York's not New York. No one has ever said New York City is so clean.
Yeah. No one ever said that. So, and in contrast to this, not too long ago, a couple of years ago, they had In the Heights.
Yeah, yeah.
Did you see it?
No.
By any chance? So, In the Heights, I really liked it. It didn't do well. People had problems with it, but I enjoyed it. It's a Lin-Manuel Miranda. It was a Broadway show, and they took it to the streets or whatever. But I will say, so it was filmed very similar. Like, it was a lot of... No, like the story was in the streets of New York.
Oh, okay.
I think it might have been in Brooklyn-ish. I don't know exactly where. But that, to me, looked very authentic, dirty. It looked just like a normal street. And it also took place during a heat wave and like a blackout.
Oh,
and
wow.
They all looked friggin' sweaty. Like, you felt how hot they were. So I think with that in mind, I'm watching this and I'm like, they just didn't look hot to me.
Interesting. Okay.
So anyway,
they looked hotter when they were inside their homes, which is really
inside the homes, absolutely.
Right? Isn't that funny?
Inside the homes,
because you would think like that's the reprieve from the sun, but it's actually they're baking in these apartments.
Yes, inside they looked hot. Inside it looked miserable. Inside it looked much more real. And then when you go outside, it was like. Huh?
Yeah, I still respectfully disagree, but I see where you're coming from. Can you dig it? It's Doug. There's a bit of that dialogue. Holy God, Pinot, and all the N words.
So many.
Oh my God, and it doesn't even stop there, because then it's like you find out that the reason why Pinot is so belligerent and he has such a chip on his shoulder is because his friends make fun of him because this pizza place is in this neighborhood, and they say, "What are you doing, Pinot? You're working in the planet of the apes." Terrible.
They don't hold back with the racial slurs.
To this. I have a note about that though later on in the big climactic moment. Climactic. Bugging Out is played by Giancarlo Esposito. He wants to boycott Sal's because they have a wall of fame, and it's all Italian Americans or Italian performers. Sophia Loren, Al Pacino.
John Travolta's up there.
Let's see.
And the pizza place is owned by Daniele, who is Italian. And he's like, it's my shop.
Exactly.
This is what I want up there.
Valid.
Yeah.
Valid. He's not turning black folks away from having his pizza or sitting there
No,
or anything like
and
that.
he's been there for, he said, 20 years,
He's
right?
watched these kids grow up, he says.
He's
at one
watched his
point.
kids
Yep.
grow up. They've eaten the pizza.
He's invested in their lives. He knows everybody by name. Like, he is a nice guy.
And they like him.
They do, and he likes
part.
them, which is why the ending bothered me a little differently this time around. But here we go. When bugging out, which is funny, this character's name, he goes up to the three guys.
Yes.
And he's like, yeah, I'm boycotting Sal's. They need to get a picture of a brother on that wall. I'm boycotting Sal's. And sweet Dick Willie says, what you ought to do is boycott that damn bobber that fucked up your head. Oh, sweet Dick Willie.
It's perfect.
I love him.
Perfect. Yes, very loud. And the boombox war, when they're like, have the war of the boomboxes.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that was really something. That was when I had my hand on the
Oh,
volume.
yeah. It's the movie and the sound editing is rough.
I did say I'm going to be a little controversial here. Mookie, played by Spike Lee, I thought was the worst performance.
Oh, I'm right there with you.
Okay, good.
I thought he was almost unnecessary.
Yep.
Almost. Like, yeah, I think you needed that sort of...
you need that guy that's in between.
Thank you very much. Yeah, the dichotomy of that.
Yep.
Like, oh my God, where do I, really belong? Because I love my job. I love this pizza place. I love Sal. But these are this is my community. These are my people.
Community.
Right.
But
not a
argument
great,
is
truly,
Sal is part of the community.
That's right. He is part of it too.
It would have worked a little bit better if it was a new shop opening up. It felt like these people know him. They like him. It just seemed like if it was a new shop that opened up and that was what they had a problem with, then I could buy all of it.
Now I have to say
Do it.
what I've been holding back.
Let's hear it then.
This did not really go well with me this time around. I found this to be very boring.
Mm-hmm.
For exactly that reason.
Yeah.
I found that what was so new and exciting to me back in 1989, 1990, now it's like, because it's a slow boil, it's a slow burn, like
Sure.
you're kind of waiting for the big riot, the big moment, but then you're just left with what you're left with, and it's just these snippets of things, and I just didn't find it super compelling, and I found it so repetitive. Pino, and all the N words and the Pino, and it's like, I get it. How many conversations does Pino have to have with anyone about what he's going through?
Yeah, we get you.
We
get
know
it.
Who
you
Trust
are,
me, we
Pino.
get it.
We
And, I got it in
conversation.
1989. I get it much more quickly now. And then I don't even know if that's a fault of the movie, but it is a fault of time.
Yeah.
Because now that now that you've seen it, and now that there's been dozens and dozens and dozens of movies about the, say, New York Black experience, there has to be a little more to it. And I think on rewatch, it just doesn't deliver as strongly as it did in the late 80s, early 90s.
I 100% agree. At one point, I actually said, wake up, man, you're in a movie. He was just kind of floating through this movie.
I think he was supposed to, like we said, he's supposed to be like the catalyst, because he walks that line, but he's not a very interesting character.
He's not interesting.
And to be really honest, and if you dive into that, he's really not a very good character.
No,
because
he's not. He's an absentee dad.
That's my very first note.
A shitty boyfriend.
Yeah.
He visits her and all he wants to have is sex. Basically against her consent. I mean, she is kind of saying yes, but she's initially saying, no, you only come over here for sex.
Yep.
And he keeps trying to undo her. He's literally unzipping her skirt as she's saying. So he's just not a good guy. He's supposed to be working. He's delivering pizza, but he stops at home, take a shower. He's not a good worker. He's not a good boyfriend.
Thank you. So those are my notes. It's like those are my notes about Mookie. It's like every time Sal is so nice to him. So he will deliver a pizza.
Bringing him in basically as another son.
He delivers a pizza and he takes a shower. He's taking his own sweet time. It's like he's costing Sal money. Yeah. Sal's being a very nice guy about this.
Yes, he is.
Let's see. Sweet Dick Willie. I better not see her naked on payday.
Oh my gosh.
That's so funny.
He has some funny lines. How do you
feel about Sal flirt or talking to Jade.
I actually really liked it.
Yeah, me too.
I actually really, really liked it. Because up until now, Sal is just basically the boss, the father figure.
Yeah.
And I really liked that. And I loved Jade. I think that Jade was my favorite character.
Which is, this is Spike Lee's sister.
In
real life.
Oh my God, I don't think I knew that.
Yeah.
That's so funny. And the fact that they were so close in the
I
beginning
know.
makes me
Maybe siblings
more.
are. Maybe we're wrong, Christina.
But maybe, I guess. I have a lot of siblings. But anyway, I loved her. I thought she was so smart and so grounded. I really liked her as a character.
Well, you needed...
And she didn't want any of this bullshit. Like, she wasn't yelling.
You needed that personality to be like, it's like, this is... Cause I think she just represents, like, hope. It's like everyone around her seems very stuck. Like you're saying, the day-to-day, they have the same conversations over and over and over. She is like moving and shaking.
Yes.
And she has no time for foolishness.
Yes.
And but she also appreciates things. And I think that I thought she's such a great character, and her conversation with Sal is very sweet.
And I loved how he obviously has like a little crush on her. And I liked how he softened around her. And he was just sweet. He was like a sweet guy.
It's the only time he sat down, I think, besides when he talked to Pino at the window.
Yes.
Who said this? Your forehead's more of an 8-head. You have one of those Sade foreheads. Was he talking to Jade? Was Mookie talking to Jade, like insulting her?
I feel like it was Jade. It must have been Mookie. No one else is going to say that. No one's going to say that
to her, yeah. I wrote, poor Hector. So much yelling, and he's just trying to sleep.
Oh my God, yes.
The ice cube scene. So did you know about the ice cube scene?
No.
So, she didn't, Rosie Perez didn't want to do that.
Oh.
And the reason why they focused on her breasts and not her face is because she was crying. That's the story that is well documented. They have since patched things up, Rosie Perez and Spike Lee, but she felt really pressured. He wanted her for this movie after seeing her dancing in a club, like just dancing.
Wow.
And he's like, I want you in my movie. She only said yes because she said, oh, you're filming right near my sister's apartment. It's 4 blocks away. I'll walk there.
Oh my God.
So that's what happened. But she did not expect how much she had to show of herself. Wow. And it's like, how did that conversation even go? I want you naked.
That wasn't even necessary.
Not at all.
It was not necessary.
I didn't see her boobs. No. I mean, if she was wearing a bra or a t-shirt, it would have been fine as well.
It would have been fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes me sad. That's not
it does.
Good.
Pino's got issues, but boy, is it getting repetitive.
Yeah. Pino needed a hobby.
I also wrote, I don't think bugging out understands the concept of boycotting. Because goddamn, this kid keeps showing up. And he shows up with the boombox guy.
Yes.
It's like, if you're boycotting, you don't go.
Right, that's the whole point.
That's the whole point.
You just don't go.
You don't encourage people to go. He encouraged that guy with the boombox to go.
Yes.
What's his name? Radio Rashid?
Yeah.
Radio Raheem. Sorry.
What'd you think of Dameir? I kind of liked him.
Dameir.
The guy that walks around, the homeless guy.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. I liked him, and I liked Mother Sister.
Mother Sister, yeah.
I liked that they got together.
Yeah.
But I liked that whole thing. So it was funny because I remembered her being older.
Same.
Right? I remembered her as being like this old, wise woman.
Yeah.
And she is not old at all. She's probably younger than me right now. And I just liked her. She kind of like looking out on the neighborhood and kind of being wise.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just really liked him. He just seemed like the nice guy. Walking around, he had some wisdom. And I loved the fact that he kind of romances her.
Yeah.
And she doesn't really want to, but she sees the value in him. He's a smart guy.
Yeah.
And he has a good heart and all that. So I really liked that little side story. It's
super cute. Yeah. I love that she's like, in her window when he's on the street. And it's very Romeo and Juliet.
Very, yes.
Right? And they're so cute together. And it's Ossie Davis, right?
Yes, that's right. That's right.
And Ruby Dee. Let's see. So, believe it or not, my next notes are all about the end.
I have mostly about the end, too. But I said the brothers' fight is strange. I forget what it was that they did, but I didn't like that. It is such a strange fight. I think Pino is just like, basically just being an ass. I don't know, whatever that was.
Over the top. It's
but
endless.
Then there was a scene with the mayor and Mother Sister when they're talking to each other on the stoop. And it was filmed so strangely. Did you notice this? And I thought to myself, did they film them separately?
Oh my God, I know what you're talking about.
Did you feel that?
I did. I know exactly what you're talking about.
It was weird, right?
Yeah.
It just seemed like it was like him and then her.
And it didn't look like she was
him?
looking at him.
No, I think they filmed those scenes separately for whatever
reason. Yeah.
But yeah,
maybe just probably just a budget reason.
Maybe, yeah, I don't know. Anyway.
But that is so funny. I totally remember what you're talking about. Yeah, because she wasn't looking at him. Like, it was very odd.
Yeah. So we get to the ending, and the ending is horrible.
Yeah.
It is scary and horrible and hits so close to home.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, it's this riot and the police come and they have this bar and they put it against
Radio Raheem's neck.
Yep. And they kill him.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh my God. Like I was so emotional watching this.
I remember someone being shot and it was so not that. And it was like, oh my God, this is what happens? Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Like it was so... And to your point earlier, it feels so much more contemporary.
Yes.
Like, where it's like, oh my God, this fucking shit never ends. Like, 1989, and here we are, 35 years later, and this shit still happens all the time.
Same fucking shit.
The one thing, so with Sal, I thought some of it just didn't quite add up. I don't know if Sal would have smashed the boombox to begin with. I just don't know. I know he said, get out of here, get out of here, get out of here.
It didn't seem like enough pressure was going on. Like, I know at the beginning he did grab the baseball bat. Mm-hmm. So you get the sense that he does grab that bat.
Yep.
You know, it's right there, whatever.
Yeah.
I get that sense. But yeah, I mean... Yeah, it didn't add up for me either. It seemed like he was quick to just smash. And it didn't seem like he had that enough pressure built up behind him to make it happen.
If they had built up the heat element of things, if they built up the Pino thing, and they kind of did. Like, Pino's yelling at him while this is going on.
Yes.
And he's like, I just have to end this. And the music is so distracting. And it's the same song.
But he had shut the radio off. They had shut the radio off at that point. Because he's like, I can't hear what you're saying. You have to shut the radio. And he shut it off. And it was after it was shut off. And that's when he beat the radio up.
Oh my God.
So there wasn't even any point to that.
That's wild. So, but then Radio Raheem, does Sal say the... Oh, no. Okay. Radio Raheem drags Sal from the counter.
Yes.
And starts strangling him.
Yes.
Now, if the crowd had not pulled Radio Raheem off of him, what would have happened?
He definitely would have
killed Sal.
Killed him.
Yeah. So Sal, and this is kind of the part where I call bullshit on, because I just don't see this for Sal. Sal says the N-word.
Yeah.
Which really jolted me.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm like, that is not a Sal thing. Sal would never say that.
This is basically his community as well. Yeah. Like, he has a lot of fondness for this community.
Mookie throws the trash barrel through the window. Now, I was like, why? Why? And someone wrote on Letterboxd, they thought it was because he worried for Sal. He was worried that Sal was going to be beat up by a bunch of people. And this is, again, just a speculation.
Yeah, and that makes sense.
Destroy his property. Don't kill Sal. You destroy his property. Burn it to the ground. Leave this guy alone. And because it wasn't... Sal didn't kill Radio Raheem.
Correct.
The cops did. And honestly...
And it really wasn't Sal's fault.
It wasn't Sal's fault. Sal said, don't play your music that loud in here. Take it outside. I'm not putting, a black person on the wall. This is an Italian wall. Sal was very clear. He really loved this community. Yeah. Seemingly everyone loved Sal. I understand it was a hot day. I understand that, Pino was kept bugging him. But it was like, oh my God, I just don't see this for Sal at all. Yeah. And so through a middle-aged lens, this, kind of rang a little false for me. But yeah, I think destroying, the property is always better than fucking killing someone.
Yes. And then even at the end, he does say, you have the insurance money.
That's right. Yeah.
So maybe he was a little smarter than what I originally gave him credit for.
Well, that's what happens when you write the screenplay for
Right?
your own character. Yeah.
Well, that's true. You have to be the hero.
And by the way, that's the other Oscar nomination. Is
Oh,
for
the screenplay?
Best screenplay, yeah. Believe it or not.
You don't have any more notes?
Do you? I have no other notes.
I just said it's awful. So then Mookie's like, I'm going to go get my money from Sal. And I wrote, that's doubtful.
I had the same thought.
Right?
I was like, really?
Like, really? You threw a thing through.
Yeah.
And I loved that Sal was like, hey, you know what? This is going to cost the window itself. That was your pay.
Yeah.
So, but I liked that they worked it out at the end.
Yeah.
You know, he's like, they had a fight, but you could see what?
The money on the ground.
Yeah, throwing the money on the ground, throwing the $500. He said, even Mookie's like, you don't owe me $500, you owe me $250 or whatever. So it felt like a real relationship when they're having that conversation. And that's when he says something about the insurance money. And so you do get the sense that he is going to be okay.
Yeah.
But he's not going to be able to be in this neighborhood anymore. And, you know, you feel okay about that, actually.
Yeah. And they say why, like, he doesn't want to go. Because, like, his John Turturro's character is like, you know, let's go to this place. Let's go to this neighborhood. And he's
right.
He's like, there are 5 other pizza places on the same block.
Right.
Like, he's like, there's way too many. He's like, here, we're the only one. And not only that, I know these kids. We've been over 27 years. Yeah, I grew up with them. Yeah.
And the only other note that I have is that, you know, Sal's speech was great, but it was diluted by the saxophone playing in the background. Did that bother you at all? It was like, I'm like, oh my God, why are they playing the saxophone music?
Oh my God.
It was very bizarre.
It's
just a strange choice. But that is all I have for notes.
So the big question, more, less, or about the same? I feel like we flew through it, but I mean, but the truth is, there's just not enough meat on the bone before that big moment. Like, it's like on rewatch anyway. It's like, what are we going to talk about? Like,
it's a 2-hour movie.
It's 2 hours.
Yeah, it's a 2-hour movie. It is a lot of just snippets of the same stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
So more or less or about the same?
I don't know. I think it's less. Mm-hmm. I think it's less. I think it was a long movie. It didn't need to be that long.
Yeah.
And I mean, that ending scene is just awful.
I mean, so it's less for me, as much as I think the ending is so compelling. And it's even, I think, a bigger jolt now through a middle-aged lens because we have so much more media and exposure to police brutality and marginalized communities. So it's like, it even hits harder now. But this movie, for me, it was very boring. My note is like the point of views and the themes are really compelling throughout. They're important, but the story just isn't as strong. The story isn't as strong as what the movie's trying to say.
Yeah, I agree.
And very repetitive.
Very repetitive. But Rosie Perez was excellent. I liked her a lot. Yeah,
I mean, it really drove me nuts, though, when she's holding the kid and swearing her head off.
Yeah.
That's a middle-aged lens, though, thing.
Definitely.
That's just her character.
Yeah,
but,
definitely.
Budget.
And they're fighting. They're screaming, and the kid is sleeping in between them.
I know.
Like, that doesn't seem likely.
Oh, that's Hector. I wrote, poor Hector.
That's right.
Yeah, so much yelling. He's just trying to sleep. He's the kid. Budget, $6.2 million. Box office, $37.3 million. Siskel and Ebert picked it. They both picked it as the best film of 1989 on their respective lists.
Wow.
Original choice for Sal. I'm sure you can guess it.
Was it like Robert De Niro?
You got it.
Yeah.
Christina, you're very good at this.
I am pretty good at this.
And then Sight and Sound magazine picked it as the 24th best movie of all time.
Wow.
Yeah, it's wild.
That's wild, is right.
I have a match game?
I have an FMK.
Do you want to go first?
Sure.
Okay.
All right, my FMK for you is Sal, Da Mayor, and Sweet Dick Willie.
Really?
Yep. So let's see what I'm going to do.
Oh, God, this is actually tough. They're all so nice.
I know. I'm not sure what I'm going to do for you either.
Oh, God. All right, ding.
Hold on. I have to say that. That's me, and then this is going to be you.
It seems so much easier, but it's not.
I know, it is. Okay, ding.
All right, so,
All right, FMK. Who is it going to be?
What? How can you not have sex with someone whose name is Sweet Dick Willie? So
Interesting.
I'm effing Sweet Dick Willie.
Okay.
I think he'd be a blast Very fun. Curious
Okay.
how he got that nickname. And then I'm marrying Sal.
Interesting.
Just because he is, well, quite frankly, he's younger than Demare. And he is like, he's a shop owner. He cares with, he does care about his customers. I think he's a good guy. Yeah. And when he's not yelling the N-word as his building's burning down. And then Demare, I would have to kill, and I feel bad, but quite honestly, I just don't see a future for us.
So I got them pretty wrong.
Oh.
I said you were going to marry Sweet Dick Willie.
That's, yeah.
I thought you were going to kill Sal.
Oh.
But only because I thought you would F the mayor.
What?
But and so I also said I would F the mayor.
Wow.
But it's mostly because he seemed very you'd have to put him in a shower first.
Yes.
However, first.
But
homeless. He seemed very just gentle and loving and he seemed romantic almost.
Oh, very much so.
Do you know what I mean?
He's
so
a charmer. He's a charmer.
So I felt like he probably knew his way around the sheets.
All right.
And I was going to kill Sweet Dick Willie,
Whoa!
But only because I felt like Sal would make a great husband.
Sal would, yeah.
So I was going to marry Sal.
Whew, that took a lot out of me. I have a match game.
All right, let's hear it then.
It was so hot in New York City that day.
How hot was it?
The Statue of Liberty swapped out her torch for a blank.
Ding.
Was it that easy?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Ding. Really? Okay. It was so hot, the Statue of Liberty swapped out her torch for a blank.
For a fan.
I put parasol.
Oh!
To block the sun.
Well, that makes sense. But no, I'd
But
have a fan would be better.
Okay. Oh, wow.
Wow.
Wow is right.
They were both good answers.
They were.
Right.
And that was... Oh, how did you watch it?
Library.
DVD,
yes.
Same.
DVD from the library. And you watched DVD as well?
Yep. And that was Do the Right Thing. And that's it for us and for this episode of Old Roommates.
Thank you for listening. Please remember to follow us on Instagram or YouTube, where we have our episodes as well as a little extra.
And if you have any questions about our show, any suggestions for movies we could revisit, reach out to us at oldroommatespod@gmail.com.
Thanks again for listening.
This is Brian.
And this is Christina. Until next time.